Welcome back to Proxamer, everybody, and today we're going to be talking about the Altanzar Craftworld. So this is a Craftworld supplement that came out before the Codex came out. So a lot of people are now wondering, well, are the Altanzar still good? How do they stack up with some of the new things in the new Codex? So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that and kind of look at the White Dwarf supplement rules for the Altanzar. And I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Honestly, you guys are going to have to forgive me for a lot of these pronunciations from, Eldar stuff. But I've been playing them so long, I probably should know better by now. But still having trouble pronouncing some of these Craftworlds here. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So the first thing we have to look at is the Craftworld traits. So they have a couple of different traits that are a little bit... a little bit redundant. And the reason why I say this is because when you look at the far-flung Craftworld traits, there are options in the far-flung Craftworlds to do the exact same thing. So basically what it is every time a unit from the Altanzar Craftworld charges or makes a heroic intervention, you get, an additional armor penetration characteristic, a +1. Or I actually should say an additional -1 to armor pen. So if you have a weapon that's -1 to armor, it'll actually be -2. So that's decent. However, the second part of the rule is not good. It basically adds 1 to combat attrition tests. And to be honest with you, I really dislike anything that has to do with adding or subtracting to combat attrition. And the reason why is because there's just so many ways to prevent combat attrition from happening in the game. It's going to be so rare. I mean, unless you are, going against, a unit with really low leadership that's a large number of models, and your opponent doesn't have any way aside from a command. And by the way, I mean, they just have an ability that they can use once a turn for a command point to essentially automatically pass a leadership check. And this is basically every army that has access to this. But I suppose if, an our enemy army had multiple big units like that, like multiple units of conscripts for Imperial Guard, didn't have a commissar. Essentially what I'm trying to say is just very rare to actually utilize this ability. Now for Eldar, it's the same way. So you're probably never going to get use out of this part of the Craftworld trait. And to be honest with you, even if you do get use out of it, it probably won't help you that much, to be honest. Essentially, instead of 1s and 2s to lose a model after you fail a leadership, now it's just 1s. So not too good. I think they're pretty weak overall. Now, as far as the stratagems, though, they do add a bit of extra options. And I think especially Withering Volleys is a pretty good stratagem. Because it can be used on Eldari missile launchers. So a kind of a cool tactic to use with this is to actually use it on a unit of Warwalkers with Eldari missile launchers. Because this gives both the blast version and the single shot version the ability to have -1 armor penetration. Additional. So Plasma is going to have -2 and Star Shot is going to have -3. So I think that's pretty good, to be honest with you. I think it's a good stratagem for 1 command point. I do not recommend putting it on Dark Reapers because it's 2 command points for Dark Reapers for some odd, bizarre reason. I don't know why they did this, but it's 2 command points for them. And to be honest with you, Dark Reapers aren't that effective anyway. There's much more effective options as far as anti-heavy infantry in the Eldar Codex. You have a stratagem that gives objective secured. So this is kind of more of a clutch stratagem. And I actually like this stratagem because it allows you the option of giving a unit that's on an objective secured. Like, for example, if you're going after an objective and you don't have enough models to contend with an enemy objective secured unit, you can get objective secured yourself and override it, essentially. Or, I mean, you could just give this to an infantry unit that, you know, maybe the enemy doesn't have an objective secured unit, but has more models than you on the objective. This gives you a chance to kind of take that objective away from them and score points yourself on it. So, you know, it is a good, it's a good stratagem, and I think it's unique to Altanzar, because I don't believe the Eldari Codex has one like this that just gives you objective secured. So I think this is pretty useful. And the last stratagem on the list is probably the least useful. It's Inexhaustible Hatred. And it gives you basically a unit +1 to wound when fighting against a demon unit. So I have to admit, though, it's not the greatest. And the reason why is because this excludes monsters and vehicles. So the things you're going to need +1 wound against the most are, you know, monsters. And unfortunately, this doesn't even affect it. So most infantry units that are demons are going to be, unless they're Nurgle, they're going to be pretty squishy. And I just don't find the use of it. Plus, I believe it's also 2 command points to use. So I don't know. I just don't find it that effective. I think there's better options just in the regular codex as far as command points go. Blade Storm, for example, is a great one. And there are a few others that kind of outshine it. So overall, though, I think the stratagems are okay. I think 2 of them are really effective. The Withering Volleys and the Objective Secured stratagem are both very good. So Altanzar do have a few things that regular Eldar don't have access to, so that's nice. Now, as far as the Warlord traits, one of them stands out to me, and that is the Weaver of the Blade Storm. I think it's a great Warlord trait, personally. I mean, it doesn't do much for survivability or anything like that. It's not Fate's Messenger. But it gives you basically, you know, basically a unit of shuriken weapons, the ability, if you roll a 6 to hit, it auto wounds. Now, the problem with this, though, is that rolling a 6 to hit doesn't count as a 6 to wound. So you're not going to get extra AP from it. So I think that's the main issue with it that I have with this, is that they need to change it, unless they've already FAQ'd it and I just haven't seen it yet. But as it's written, rules is written, it doesn't count as a 6 to wound. So you're not going to get that extra AP, unfortunately. And it's just not going to be as effective as, you know, Hail of Doom, for example. Now, as far as the relics go, Emblem of the Broken Chain isn't a terrible relic. It's not bad, but there's just so much more powerful relics in the regular Craftworld Codex book that you would rather take. And to be honest with you, there's also a Craftworld trait that gives the entire army rerolls on advances and charges. So to be honest, I just don't think it's that great. And the Savior Stone is honestly just terrible, because you can only choose one of the effects. You can only manipulate a dice by going up 1 or down 1. So really not a great relic at all. And I feel like even the Weeping Stones are better, and the Weeping Stones are you know, awful as well. So as far as the relics go, I have to say, I'm really disappointed. And as for the Warlord traits, you know, Weaver of the Blade Storm is good. Master of Rune Warding is okay. But, you know, it's not the greatest, to be honest with you. Typically, with Deny the Witch, you know, you have enough Psychers in your army to, you know, kind of make attempts at it anyway. But, I mean, it's an okay trait. It's just not the best. And to make use of it, you really need to be going against an enemy with a lot of psychic powers that you know you're going to be, you know, having psychers within 24 inches of. So, not the best. Now, a Beacon in the Darkness, Beacon of Light in the Darkness is very situational, to be honest with you. So I don't recommend taking that, to be honest, but we have that too for Altansar. So in conclusion, the Altanzar have a few additional rules and kind of cool combos with their stratagems. And they're especially good with certain units in the Eldar Codex. like Warwalkers with Eldar missile launchers. But in general, I think just both the Craftworld traits, relics, and Warlord traits are not really in line with the new book. They leave a lot to be desired. And I personally just am not the biggest fan. I think what they really need to do with Altanzar is they need to come out with a new supplement that takes into account the new codex and brings it more in line with the new codex. Because, you know, things like Weaver of the Bladestorm, that needs to be 6s to wound. So just like Hail of Doom, right? There's a few things that need to be changed with Altanzar to make them effective. And Withering Storm, the stratagem Withering Storm, or Withering Volleys, gosh, now I'm forgetting the name, but the one that gives -1 AP to missile launcher weapons, they need to make that one command point for everything, not just Eldar missile launcher units, but also Dark Reapers as well. The fact that it's 2 command points for Dark Reapers when Dark Reapers are already so expensive and overcosted is a little bit ridiculous in my opinion. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys learned something from it. I reviewed Altanzar. To be honest with you, I really hadn't played the Craftworld at all. I've not played the Craftworld yet. I'll probably eventually play them in a couple practice games with a friend or something like that, just to see how they actually work on the tabletop. But let me know your experiences with them. I really want to know. Because, you know, I'm not an Altanzar player. Maybe there's something I'm missing here. Overall, I just think that the rules are pretty weak in general, but let me know what your experiences are. I know there's some players out there who probably play Altansar a lot more than I do, so let me know how they are on the tabletop. Let me know if you have some cool tricks or, you know, stratagems or strategies that with them that you like. And yeah, so I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one, and thanks for watching and, you know, enjoying the videos. All right, peace out, everybody.